Hello and welcome everyone to episode 103 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm, of course, Brandon Bovia, letterer of manga like Dragon Ball Super and Kaiju number 8. And it hasn't... No, wait. Okay, yeah. Then I think the next chapter of Dragon Ball will... Yeah, it will definitely be out by the time that this goes up. So I can say that it's doing an interesting thing where it's kind of like... We got like a little bit of like post-superhero content.
Oh, like it's like, oh, here's a new epilogue type thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's more of just kind of like... They don't really seem to jump ahead in time really at all. They're just like, all right, you know, the movie's over. Here's kind of what happens next. And it seems like Goku caught a whiff of Beast Gohan and was like, I want some of that. So I think he's just like, I'm gonna fight you, son. That's my interpretation of where things are headed.
You know what? I hope Gohan kicks his ass.
Yeah. I mean, there's also a funny another. Because you remember the bit of the end of Superhero, right? Sorry for spoiling the gag at the end of the movie where like Vegeta wins, right? Like his training bout against Goku.
Yeah.
There's a bit in the chapter where like they're talking about that fight just sort of casually, and then like the camera zooms in on Vegeta, and he's just like, "Yes, that fight that I won." He's so proud of it.
I mean, technically, Vegeta has never lost a fight to Goku.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know what he's worried about.
There's just times where if they did fight, it'd be an obvious loss for him. But yeah,
yes,
that's always an interesting rivalry. And you know what? Carrying it back to One Piece, you know what's weird?
What's that?
Luffy doesn't have a rival.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Oh, okay. Like, because that's such a thing, like, that builds up so many characters, like, here's your rival, and no, Luffy does not have that. I guess just anybody that says they're going to be king of the pirates, but...
Yeah, I guess so. I guess, like, the story definitely has characters it frames as, like, Luffy's equals. Whether or not they actually are, you know, I think... Yeah, we'll get there. Fairly soon, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get through this set of chapters because you know how we were talking about, like, man, Thriller Bark has been weirdly good. Like, what had happened here? I think in this set of chapters, like, oh, now we get it.
Yeah. Well, so in defense of this set of chapters, I think anything involving Absalom is just going to, like, you're knocking off 3 points right there, right? Like,
yeah.
you are now at like a 7 out of 10 at max on a good day.
True.
And even that feels a little bit charitable. So I think just because like the focus is just on really dragging out how bad that like just oh boy, I got words for that.
Oh
when we
yeah.
get there.
Oh
but
yeah.
No, it otherwise I think there is good stuff in here. It's just maybe like not like mind-blowingly good. It's just kind of like, all right, yeah, Pierce, you know, the story's moving right along.
Yeah. Well, let's get to it with chapter 461, Ghostbuster. And Aneru has won. He's defeated the space pirates, and Lieutenant Spacey is showing his gratitude. And I guess Aneru gets to be a good guy.
He got to save somebody, which is cool. I guess an accidental hero. I do kind of like. Did Aneru leave like a massive smoldering crater?
Either that or that's the digging that the pirates are doing. I'm not sure.
You know what? I think that's probably more likely.
Because I can't imagine him willingly destroying his Vars.
Yeah. It just, based on like the camera perspective, it sort of looked like it was implying, and just like the way that Eneru is posed, that it's like, did he just like blast that massive crater? But who knows?
I don't think so, but I guess we'll see. But
yeah. I'm much more willing to believe, it was probably the digging.
Into the chapter itself, I love these handy little maps where we get like, here's these characters, here's these locations for the masked mansion, that's so cool. And then I love that Oars is just part of it. It's like, yeah, here's Oars.
Here's it's just like, where's he just like slammed down on the bridge.
And as Luffy, Robin, and Chopper run through the halls, they're like, okay, we got to find Moria. And let's get to it because, Sanji and Usopp fell down back there, but they'll be fine. Let's just keep moving. We got to take out Moria. And on the way, they come across Hogback and Sindri. And Chopper's had enough. He's like, I'm gonna take care of him, Luffy. You go ahead.
Good for you, Chopper. You go get him.
I love that. And Hogback's like, hey, how dare you try to get the Moria without fighting me first? Hey, Sindri, you get him. She starts chucking plates.
I love that. That's her, like this whole plate thing is her gimmick, and she's just got a whole stack of plates. It's hilarious, but also the fact that she actually listened, I thought was like, oh, she's down for this. But
some control there, but also it doesn't last very long because Robin stops her, and it's like, yeah, you go on. It's the two of us versus the two of them, and it's like, oh, cool.
I don't remember how this plays out at all, but like the idea of Robin and Chopper kind of fighting together is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's different, and I always like that sort of different setup in how it's going to go, and it's a matchup at least with Chopper and Hogback that feels well earned.
Yep,
we got Hogback throwing threatens like, I'll turn you into a zombie. Like, no, you'll become the new marionettes for me. So, and the sad thing is, like, you get hyped. It's like, oh, this is going to be a good fight. I'm excited to see this. Yeah, that's end. That's it. That's all we have. That's all we see in this set of chapters of these two.
Yeah, to the point that I had kind of forgotten that this fight had started.
Technically, although there is a detail here that I've completely missed, because you know how he says, "Why don't I turn you into a marionette after you've been killed at their hands?" I missed what he meant by that. Do you see who's there?
Oh yeah. That's the Zoro and Sanji zombies.
Yeah, I completely missed that the first time.
I missed that too. Yeah, actually.
So that adds an interesting wrinkle.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if Hogback would. I don't know if he seems like the fighting type necessarily. So
no, definitely not. He's definitely not a fighter. Weirdly enough, even like speaking of confrontations, Luffy very quickly comes across Moria. Like, there he is.
Just hanging out there.
Yeah. And that's where that ends. We instead move to the bridge to Perona's room where they're just marveling at the sheer size of Oars. And they're freaking out. And it looks like he's going to attack him, where instead, no, he grabs a chunk of the bridge and puts it on his head because it looks like a pirate hat.
As critical as I am of some of the humor in this arc, like I cannot get enough of Oars Luffy. It is the funniest thing.
Just this giant man-child, essentially. It is.
Yeah, and even Zoro just he points out he's that huge and he's got Luffy's fighting skills. That's dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
Usopp's just like let's just give up.
It's like no, and Sanji's like even if we did, we still have to save Nami. So pull yourself together. But now the problem is like that we can't get to that mansion because the bridge is broken and it's too far for us to jump. So if we have to take a detour, we'll just run into more zombies. So you're thinking like, man, what are they going to do about this? And then this Frankie.
Yeah.
I love this gag.
He's just like, wait 30 more seconds. He doesn't like the look of the railing.
And it's such a nice looking bridge that he built.
Right. Yeah. Again, I just, all these scenes of like Frankie getting to do his thing. He just inserts himself into the crew so perfectly.
Mm-hmm. I love that because it's a joke that was not used in Enos Lobby at all, or we haven't seen before. But he's got his craftsman skills back. So seeing him do this, like, yeah, hell yeah, Frankie.
Yeah, and then he's just like kind of a perfectionist about it.
It makes it all the better.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
And they arrive, and it is Perona is waiting for them. Has all her ghosts flying around, and she's just like all calm and whatnot. And sure enough, she sends him out, and they're like, "Oh boy, we got to get out of here!" And they all get hit by the negative hollows. And it's like, well, that didn't last long.
Yeah, still don't know what to do about that.
No, Perona does come across as the most dangerous, just because.
Yeah, because she could just take everybody out, just incapacitate.
Yeah, it's done. The guy, Usopp saying it's over, and Frankie being like, "I wish some stray dog would stomp on me." Is like, "I'm dumber than a mackerel" from Sanji, and I apologize for even standing on the same ground as you guys from Zoro, which is really saying something for him.
Yeah, wow.
And they're about to get captured by her animal zombies when all of a sudden we get a Gatling Salt Star and all of them get purified at once because here is friggin' Usopp saying you're not going to lay your finger on my crew.
Yeah, and then I love this because Perona's like, oh, so he only pretended to be hit. So she tries it again, and she's just like, why aren't you falling to your knees?
It's like I didn't dodge it because I'm already extremely negative, and we get a Neru face from Perona, and it's still good. Yep. I love that Usopp gets that kind of reaction.
It's great. I love just a quick comment because it is like a fun little callback to the Neru face of like my power has no effect on this person. I forgot that it didn't actually take up the full page, but I want to say there's one more of these.
Oh, is there?
But yeah, there is actually like I don't know if I'd really call it a running thread, but there is one more of like half to full page reaction of somebody in that same like that same kind of angle.
Yeah, where the power has no effect. I think Oda realized that this is a popular panel.
Yeah, it is, and it's great. I can't wait for us to get to that third one. I think there's only one more. I could be misremembering.
I don't remember anymore, so I think it's going to be a while until I get there.
Yeah. Yep.
So we'll see.
In this moment itself, I love that it is like Usopp is the key.
Yeah.
Usopp is like Perona is probably the most like she's been the one that they've had the most trouble with throughout this whole arc, who can just incapacitate every member of the crew no matter what. But
yeah, and the effects might not last long, but she could just do it again. So until they get captured. So it's definitely an issue. And I love that the way the zombies try to counteract this is like, yay, cheer up.
Yeah.
Be happy.
They're all trying to cheer Usopp up. Like, don't be so depressed.
But Usopp gets to take charge and being like, yeah, you guys don't stand a chance against her. I'll take care of this. And they're like, all right.
Yeah.
And he's just like, hey, take care of the zombies before you go. I can't beat them. And they still just leave them behind.
Yep. Oh man, and that we'll see a little bit more of that later. But I definitely appreciate that like Usopp's kind of getting his moment to shine. He's gotten a lot of really good moments throughout this arc, and it really feels like, I mean, since he was kind of not a part of the crew for a lot of the last arc, it's like, okay, now here's his time to take charge.
Yeah, and I think also just again showing his worth for the crew.
Yeah,
where
certainly.
It is very easy to say that the crew would not have gotten as far as they did in this arc if it weren't for Usopp.
Yeah, and I feel like just in general, I love seeing the crew members like doing stuff that only they can do. Like even as something as simple as like, oh, like Frankie built the bridge because he's really good. And just I think I feel like I've talked about this on the show before, but just like as an adventure manga, One Piece is able to use its characters in ways that aren't just for fights. In a way that I really enjoy. And of course, like getting the characters, like giving them their moment to shine is really satisfying. But I like it when even in sort of like the adventure aspects, Oda's able to kind of balance everybody.
Yeah. But we end off with Absalom and his marriage as we see him, Nami appears to be in some sort of trance where she's just standing, but asleep. And basically it's like the wedding's gone through. And we end with, you may now kiss the bride, and just get that face from Absalom, which is like, ugh.
Yeah, no, it's, yeah, I'm just going to say this now because I don't want to dwell on it because this is going to make me mad. But like Nami being unconscious during this entire sequence sucks. It's bad. I hate it.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's
every ounce of her agency is gone.
It's really uncomfortable. And I'm just, so.
Like this feels... This is a movie plot, but even in the movie plot where she gets kidnapped, she's able to take control during a lot of it and like beat him in the card games and whatnot. I think that was the second movie where that happened, right?
Yeah. And all of our talk about like, oh man, it's nice to see kind of the crew members all getting their time to shine. Like, I think Nami gets done a little dirty in this arc.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that.
Yeah. So that's my 2 cents.
We'll move on from there.
How I feel.
Yeah. Well, you know that we don't
like
exactly enjoy that she's not able to do anything here.
Yeah.
But we do have an SBS real quick where we get, a negative hollow done to Oda, where it's like, what would you want to come back as? It's like, I want to be a stain. I want to be a stain on the carpet. I want to be a really deep stain. I'm like, what the? But then we get the payoff because somebody immediately points out, it's like, hey, in this panel, and then in this chapter, Nami's shorts are this color, but in the next chapter, it's this color. Did something happen? And it's just, Oda's like, no, I don't want to, I can't go on. Maybe their pants are made of fabric that faded easy. I'm trying, no, I made excuses. If I want to be reborn, I want to be drool all over the place.
It's fun that the negative hollow is lasting throughout the SBS. Also, we did get confirmation. I do like this silly question that Captain T-Bone from Water 7, he is not a zombie. He looks like one, but he is human.
But into chapter 462, The Adventures of Oars. And there is not a good guy. Attack now.
No, he's not.
Questions later again.
He's just, those poor little guys.
He sees the others. He's like, no, I'm getting rid of these guys.
Yeah, just what are you doing, man? What is going on up here on this silly little moon?
I have no idea. But the fight between Usopp and Perona continues on, and she sends 4 hollows through Usopp, and they end up negative.
See, this gag is hilarious.
Yeah, that's good. Where they see them come through, and they're just like, ugh.
It even backfires on Perona, where she's just like, "I'm so sorry for everything, Kumasi." It's like, hey, when it comes to thinking about things pessimistically, no one can beat me. It's like, oh my God, he's very confident about that terrible character trait. Yeah. They've met their worst match.
Pretty much. But they decide to split off with Sanji heading off to, of course, save Nami still being on fire and whatnot.
He can apparently fly when he's on fire.
Apparently, he's just all about it, as we can see. And Frankie and Zoro head towards where Brook is, and it's just not going well for Brook. He's still getting beat back.
You just can't beat him.
Nope, it's just too much.
We get this little cool scene about, like, I forgot that Brook's his special attack had like this much significance to it.
Yeah, I did too. I love how the Ryuma zombie's like, I'm gonna take you down for good so you can never come back and retake the shadow. So which part should I cut off using my special notch slash? And that's when Brook's like, yeah, you don't know anything about that move, so don't use the name. And we find out a bit more backstory where he used to serve in his kingdom's raider squad, and the quick draw attack at which he was the most skilled was the Requiem Labanderol. And it was so impressive that his comrades renamed it with regard to his sword fighting technique, the 3-pace hum notch slash. And that's just a cool bit of like character building.
I'd forgot that he like wasn't a pirate at some point.
Yeah, I did too.
I don't think that really, like, it doesn't really come up often, so it's just kind of like a little bit of, extra flavor, but like it is cool.
Mm-hmm. It's very neat to see. And God, what a cool standoff.
Yeah.
Where they both try
really
to use
this part.
That attack, and they just walk past each other, and then it hits Brook. It's that's cool. Like to see,
it is.
You don't see that too often where they're both using that sort of attack against each other and only one can win.
Yeah, I mean, I guess very appropriately, it does feel kind of like a samurai movie almost, or I guess like the way that it's framed, because normally when you like have two characters like in a sword clash, it's like they both are like, I don't know, I feel like they both kind of teleport or are already like past one another, but you actually see them like sort of slowly walk past each other, and then it hits as just the way that it's timed, the way that it's like framed on the page, I think is just, it's awesome. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, just a nice little detail. And poor Brook, he's down, he's thinking about Laboon, he just wants to apologize, and he's just regretting his 50 years of doing nothing. His life was so dreary, and Ryuma's about to cut off the afro. And you think that Zoro is going to save him at that point, but no, it's some sort of shaking happening to the entire building, which throws them all off foot. And that just gives just enough time for Frankie and Zoro to make it there. And Frankie goes to check on Brook. And Ryuma comes in to try to, finish the job. And that's when Zoro comes in and just
there we go.
stops him.
Yep.
Like, yeah, this is the fight we were expecting.
Yeah. And then I like this bit where basically, Zoro's kind of like, hey, nice sword you got there.
That's basically what it comes down to, where Brook's impressed by Zoro's skills. And, he's like, hey, I don't know if your pride will get in the way, but he could take your place and get your shadow back for you. What do you say? And he's like, yes, please do it. No pride there. But but as you said, the best part is like, that's a nice sword. I think I want that.
Yeah. And well, we're coming back to Loketown, where it's just like, this is, Ryuma's got the Shusui, which is one of the 21 excellent grade swords.
And that's one of the best, right?
Yeah. That's an upgrade. Ooh, that's an upgrade. I forgot that this is how for some reason I thought his old sword got repaired. I mean, let's be honest. We know how this is going to go down. This is his new sword. Zoro's going to get this sword. Yep,
we're not seeing this. We're not seeing this fight, but we know how that's going to work out.
Yeah, and then just that last little panel before the scene changes. It's just Zoro's like, I'm going to make that sword mine. It's just like, oh boy.
Goody.
I largely do not remember how this fight turns out, but
yeah, I don't know how it goes,
I'm
but
sure
he gets it in the end.
It's probably going to be awesome.
The shaking is more helpful not only for Brook, but for Nami, as it's shaking so much that Absalom's blind kisses keep missing.
Yeah, which is... Okay, yeah.
All right. But the reason the whole island is shaking is because Oars is attempting to steer the ship.
You've really... I just... More and more you are seeing, like, no, this is just Luffy. Like, he is taking command in this giant, several meters tall body of his.
Mm-hmm. And the other zombies are attempting to stop him from doing all of this. And I love how he keeps saying gum gum, even though I'm not rubber. Gatling. It just beats the hell out of all the special zombie generals.
Yeah.
And
then the Oars, for one, is like, don't get in the way of my adventure. he's just Luffy. The power of his personality is too strong. But also just like, yeah, all of the zombie generals, those were our strongest zombies, flattened.
Yep, that takes care of all of them. So don't have to worry about that whole scenario, taking care of the generals. And we kept the two most important ones away for the chopper fights. So, hey, that worked out.
Yeah.
We also see that Sanji beat up a panda zombie in order to figure out where the chapel was. And he burst into it and is ready to save Nami. It's the confrontation between Absalom and Sanji. Another SBS, though. And we get a question. What happens if Chopper eats 4 Rumble Balls? We saw what happens when he eats 2. And Oda just says, so after 3 of them, the powers of the devil fruit will go out of control. After the 4th one, the author loses control. And we see this weird, like, man-faced Chopper in his little form. And
that's weirdly
freaky.
Meta.
Yeah. So we'll never see Chopper eat more than 2.
Yeah.
Or more than 3, I guess. But there's also some questions about the numberings of the zombies and like how new ones are coming in, and they're like, when there's later zombies, there's like new zombies are coming in where they're an earlier number, but there's still zombies around that are later. And they're like, well, purification happens over time, and they don't let them go to waste, so they just take the body, freeze them again, and then put a new body in when they get a new soldier, a new shadow to put into it. It makes sense. That seems pretty self-explanatory. But I also like that he put so much thought into it, that there's the zombies are numbered in such a way that it matches their class. So wild zombies are 0 to 199. Surprise zombies are 200 to 399. Soldier zombies are 400 to 799. Zombie generals are 800 to 899. While the special zombie is 900, which is Oars.
So the army caps out at 900, and they're basically just like swapping them in and out.
I guess so.
I continue to feel like this whole zombie army plan is really stupid. It seems a little bit flawed, and I can't... Every time that this comes up, I'm just like, he tried to fight Kaido with this.
I mean, it was his power, and I guess he just thinks, well, we actually do, as we'll see, we actually do get a little bit of thought process behind Moria eventually. But
yeah, that's true.
We'll get to that. Instead, it's time for chapter 463, Pirate Sanji versus Mystery Man Absalom.
Mystery Man is an interesting title. I don't know what that's about.
I have no idea on that one. But Aneru, in his whole adventure, notices the smoke clearing, and deep underground, there's a hole. And this is the Space Pirate Excavation Project. So something's going on here.
And I have a feeling something really interesting is in here. And I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to point out why it's interesting. I have a feeling.
I guess we'll find out, because I feel like Aneru's story kind of drags at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know what these chapters.
Doing,
so
we'll see.
Yep. But in the chapters itself, we got Luffy confronting Moria, and Moria's still just chilling. He's like, whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Yeah.
It's like, it's probably your fault. I mean, why are you here? It's like, oh yeah, you stole my shadow, so you're going to get back in everybody's. It's like, well, how are you going to accomplish that? It's like, well, you just have to beat me up, right? Even if you beat me or kill me, the zombies will simply lose their master. The shadows stay where they are. My power controls the shadows. To get what you want, you have to make me tell the shadows, go back to your original owners, since I'm their master. And he's like, so I just have to beat you up and make you say that, right? Right, but
enough.
You can't touch me. He just yawns, and Luffy winds up for his gum pistol, and a shadow comes in. And I honestly, I love this swerve where it's like, Moria seems really simple, and he seems really lazy. So this doesn't seem like it'll be much of a fight. But that's when we see that he doesn't have to fight, because he has his shadow doppelman.
Yeah, or it makes sense if he can control the shadows of other people, that he can control his own shadow, or I guess like let it have a mind of its own. I feel like we kind of know how this is gonna go. Like this is Luffy's first fight against this is the villain, big bad of the arc. He's gonna lose,
or lose or be on the back foot, or something down.
It's like, well, we have to figure out kind of. This is our chance to see what Moria's powers really functions like.
Moria just is still calm, where he's just like, I realized how important it was to have superior underlings, because I used to fight on my own, overconfident in my own abilities, but I'm never going to do anything on my own again. I'm going to become the Pirate King by simply using the help of others. And that's, of course, enough to set Luffy off that, he's going to be the king of the pirates. But we also see the reason he's calm about Oars. When there's an extreme size difference between the shadow and the body, the character of the shadow's original owner lingers on, but it's only a matter of time. Sooner or later, the memories will be lost and the zombie will be completely obedient. So he's just waiting it out. He doesn't care because...
For some reason, I'm not convinced.
I don't know.
Personally...
We'll see. I mean, I guess it just depends on how long it takes.
Yeah, I guess it would be a good way to make tension, but I feel like Luffy's will just is that strong.
Right.
I feel like that's the joke.
But this shadow power is really cool, and you can see the shadow break apart into little balls that block all of Luffy's gatlings, and then they turn into bats that then start to bite the hell out of Luffy. It's like, oh geez.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like he's got very fine control over his shadow. Yeah,
it's really like, oh, okay, this is much different than when we were taking on Crocodile. In that way, and I've noticed another thing, especially with this fight with Moria just sort of hanging out. I realized what his design reminded me of.
Oh,
he's Hades from the Disney Hercules.
He is, yeah.
There are some side profiles where he looks exactly like Hades.
Yeah, 100%. Oh my goodness, I never thought of that. You're totally right. Yep.
It's like, I mean, it makes sense. It works, but it's funny.
Yeah.
I love how we once again get a very similar mention from Moria that we got from Crocodile. It's like, you're just an inexperienced youth. You just set yourself up for humiliation, so whatever. And Luffy decides to jump off the railing and kicks him from below, catching him off guard.
Which I loved. Yeah, I wasn't expecting Luffy to actually get a good shot in, but it's that thinking on the fly that I really appreciate about Luffy fights. So he's all right. You thought I couldn't touch you, huh?
Yeah, it's a moral victory for Luffy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The crocodile comparison is really interesting because I do get the sense that the warlords they do kind of see themselves as at least a little bit untouchable.
Yeah, you get the sense that because they have that government protection, they're like, you can't mess with me. I'm far better of a pirate than you are. So
Yeah.
you're nothing. Yeah, we'll have to see how that all goes. But yeah, we have back to Sanji and Absalom, because that is our title, and Sanji just sort of dances up to him in a weird way, and then kicks the zombie that was holding on to Nami and saves her, looks at her unconscious body and just says, "What a goddess." Oh, that surprised me. It's Nami. Okay, it's Nami. Her beauty knows no bounds. So what the hell?
Well, the gag here that like Sanji and Absalom are like, they're both down bad in the exact same ways is a little bit funny, but it is like, I guess it's just like the way that it's framed that just like, ugh.
Yeah, I think that is our issue. That really gets at the heart of the issue with this section in particular, is that Oda is making the joke that Sanji and Absalom are kind of similar.
They're both worthless perverts, but like that's kind of it.
But Sanji has a little more class to him because he's able to dodge the weird attacks that Absalom's been able to do and hit people for up to this point. And he's just like, hey, how dare you? You could have actually hit Nami there. How dare you do that? Okay, there's our difference, but that's not enough of a difference.
Yeah. And then, of course, comes in the difference of expectations where, Absalom's just like, well, your shadow got put into the scrub zombie, so you're probably not that strong.
It's just like complete underestimation of Sanji. And I think that's the problem with this fight. He underestimates Sanji, and it's just Sanji kicking his ass.
Yeah, yeah. And like, that's always fun to see. Like, Sanji and the, parade of like cooking based kick moves, you get a whole like 2 pages of that basically.
Yeah, because he's like, we get narration from Absalom. It's like, he shouldn't be able to knock me back like this because, Hogback put the power of the wilderness into this body. And I think somebody also mentioned that he's basically 600 pounds.
Oh yeah. Which is like, Jesus.
Yeah. So it's definitely, you can understand why it's shocking to him, but it's also just like, all right. I don't know why. It just doesn't click with me, because you would think it'd be like really satisfying to see Absalom get his butt kicked like this, but it's not.
Yeah, and I guess there's something too about like Sanji, he's naming off like all of the things that he's pissed at. It's like, you licked Robin on the sunny, and you peeped on Nami taking a bath, and you're like, it's this weird, like, it's noble, but like not really. It's like he's getting revenge for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
it's just like, no, Absalom sucks, and as much as I do like Sanji, I want to reiterate that I do like this character, but this is not his shining moment.
I saw a friend on Twitter who's a massive One Piece fan mention, I think, a recent chapter where they just basically used a meme where some sort of meme format where Oda remembering that it's been too many chapters since he's made Sanji seem like a piece of crap.
Yeah, and that my poor. I feel bad for my friends who are big Sanji fans, because it feels like it's one of those things where like I don't have an issue with the character as much as like Oda's portrayal of him, and it's not like it's not the worst example of like a pervert character I've ever seen in a shonen manga, but it just like there are moments like this that are a little bit too self-indulgent for my tastes, where it just like this is like 2 different like copy pastes of the author's like self-insert kind of fighting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like I'm kind of not about it. And so there's stuff teasing at things from later on. Like I adore some of like the character development that Sanji gets, but like, and maybe this is sort of true in broad strokes of like sometimes a lot of the really cool stuff is sort of it's being let down a little bit by the humor, where it feels like. And Sanji's probably the poster boy for that. It happens to, it's not just him. But I feel like Oda is maybe a little bit too often willing to like kind of undercut character development for the sake of a joke, and I think when the jokes are this just kind of like, you know, you've seen it a billion times, pervert humor and anime and manga. It's just like, this is not, it's not it, chief.
Like, I know he's trying to change it up from the usual, like, Sanji upset, like, you did this to Nami, or you're trying to marry Nami, or something like that, and then just staying silent as he just dismantles Absalom until, of course, Absalom's probably going to get some sort of rebound at some point. But still, just that satisfying opening salvo. But because he's listing off all this stuff, I just, and I guess because I might also be affected because I know what's coming. I know what it actually builds to, and it's like,
Yeah.
But that's in the next chapter. We end off with the thing that, well, the hint towards what that is.
Yeah. Something else that's making him mad. What could possibly be pissing Sanji off?
What indeed? Well, I think we'll find out. Yeah, we definitely find out in the next chapter, 464, Sanji's Dream. And honestly, this is a cool
Yeah, the color art is awesome. Yeah, the sort of I don't know, what you kind of mafia-ish almost, but also like a little bit of cowboy with the wanted, and like the, I don't know, the way that I feel that I guess maybe just Nami's outfit. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, all the guys are kind of wearing that mafia and the cowboy stuff, and Robin definitely seems close to her. You know,
she's a natural fit for that vibe. She just is.
Yeah, she is. I love how her hands are peeling away the part of the art, and I can't fully read it. It's like 10th anniversary, I think, and watch me over, I think it says, or something like that. But I also love the little detail where it's like, because she's ripping it away, it's like, oh, here's Sanji's and Frankie's bare legs.
Yeah, well, of course, Frankie wearing pants is just not allowed. So we have to get his legs in there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to see him in a coat.
Yeah,
for sure. Either way, we're back, and Absalom's on his back, and Sanji is about as close to Super Saiyan as you get. That's the most ruffled I've ever seen his hair.
Yeah, he is almost glowing.
And he's like, you've stolen one of my dreams. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about that, but, you know, here, take my hands of the dead. And Sanji's just like, hey, take them off. I was like, what? Take off those bazookas on your arms. If those explosions could hurt Nami, and then I'll really beat you up. And Absalom's like, there's no way you can know that. And then Sanji kicks them, and yeah, he had bazookas. I love it was such a simple explanation. It's just like, no, bazookas strapped to his wrists.
Yeah, because I guess it makes sense that like he can turn invisible, and anything he touches is also invisible, which we've already seen in action, to be fair. But yeah, there is the whole an explanation for what had happened earlier.
But I also like that's cool though, because I like that explanation. It's kind of mundane, but it also uses the power, but it also kind of shows Absalom's strength.
Yeah,
that he's lifting up these mini bazookas and still able to do all the stuff we've seen him do.
Yeah, that is true. He is kind of carrying them around like it's nothing, but I guess when the man is 600 pounds.
Yeah.
Again, every time I look at that character, I'm just like, 600, Jesus.
Yeah, where does he put it all? That's when we get the explanation of Sanji's dream. When he was a kid, he read through the Encyclopedia of Devil Fruits. He wasn't interested in them because they didn't seem real, and each power comes with a curse. But there was one that struck all in his heart. And if he were able to gain this power sometime in his life, even if it would curse him, he would still eat the fruit. But there are no two of the same fruit in this world, so if I met someone with that power, I know my dream was over. And he wanted to become an invisible man. So because Absalom ate the clear fruit, Sanji's dream is dashed.
He tries to cover it up, but he wants the clear fruit so he can peep on women, which is that's
yeah.
Oh boy.
And that's the joke, because we get Absalom calling him a pervert, and like Sanji's like, you're one to talk, and the zombie's like, they're both equally bad. And
yeah, it's like that's really the whole crux of like this whole fight. They both suck.
Yeah.
Which again, I don't want to be mean. I like Sanji, but the whole like backbone of this section is just like, which one's the bigger pervert? Which one's like the most depraved? Which one is doing the most horrible things to women?
And it's And it distracts some things that could be cool, because Absalom takes off his coat and we see what he looks like underneath the stuff grafted on, where he's got the skin of an elephant and the muscles from bears and gorillas. And that's why he weighs over 600 pounds, thanks to Hogback's transplants. So he has a masterpiece of the power of the wild. And there's clear fruit is nothing but an accessory to his strength. But then Sanji's like, but you still peeped. And any seriousness just gets dashed every time.
Yeah. And I think I do kind of dig the concept of like an invisible character who's actually like really busted. Because I think when you think of traditionally like invisible characters, your expectation is like, oh, they need to hide so that they can rely on like their tricks and traps because they're not strong. But like, no, this is an invisible man who's like jacked, just completely compromised of different kinds of animals. But he's still, again, he's just a pervert.
Yeah, we get Sanji trying to be noble to try to hold on to Nami so Absalom can't steal her away again. But then he like realizes a knife is coming, tosses her away, and gets stabbed through the shoulder. All because he didn't want to get blood on the white dress that she was wearing.
It's something.
Yeah. And then Sanji's like, he's hiding like the coward that he is. I no longer regret losing my dream. I don't care if I can't become invisible. I'll go peeping using my own powers. It's just like, damn it, Sanji.
Oh man, no, I'm really big just how bad this section is for him. It's not great. It really isn't. And I teased this to you in DMs yesterday. This gag will come back in like 500 chapters.
Ugh, it's such a shame.
And not a great way. I feel like it's a very small part, so I don't want to be too mad at it, but it is just like Oda really can't just let like Sanji grow, can he? Like he's too much of an author insert and wanting to kind of creep on his own female characters. I'm just like, come on, guys. Like this.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I feel bad.
Especially because, again, we get a cool part where Sanji's able to kind of sense where Absalom is, grab him by the leg, and then kick him to like pummel him and send him into a wall. It's cool.
Yeah. It should be cool. It really should be. Also, is this the end of the fight?
I don't know if it's the end of the fight or not. I think that's the last we see of it for now, because we switch over to Usopp. And
oh, thank God. Sorry, I feel like, man, that was a rough listen. That whole section's rough to listen to, I'm sure. But I don't like being that negative, especially not about a manga that I love so dearly. But like that fight sucks. It just does. It's just bad.
It drags down these chapters where you're stuck with Absalom, and thankfully it starts to recover thanks to Usopp.
Yeah, I really like this Usopp part, thankfully.
Usopp is entertaining because we have him chasing Perona while Kumasi chases after Usopp. And basically Perona's hoping that Kumasi will just take him out so she doesn't have to worry about it. And yeah, Kumasi's kind of terrifying the way he...
Yeah, he just like rockets towards Usopp. It's kind of hilariously terrifying.
It really is. And he's like, I can't even reach the zipper on his back and all that. But he's fortunately able to like use fire to scare off Kumasi and then use oil to set it across the entire time. So it's like,
he makes a firewall.
Yeah. It's like, I'm invincible. Like he starts really being overconfident and starts looking for Perona again. But that's when he notices she's outside the window and floating.
Yeah. So of course he couldn't get the advantage for very long.
Nope. She's just like, yeah, I'm the ghost princess, so I can do this. It's like, oh, this is gonna be a little bit trickier than we thought.
Yeah, I love, like, this is kind of like Perona's really an interesting and fun character because she is kind of a scaredy cat, just like Usopp. You know, at least like she's very much a, like fighting from the back lines kind of character. So you know, the fact that she's kind of on the back foot a little bit, like, oh god, like I have to figure out a way to take him out. You know, like once I can do that, I can take care of everybody else. But
yeah, she's not a physical character whatsoever, which does make her a good matchup for Usopp. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to our final chapter for the set, 465, Pirate Usopp versus Mystery Woman Perona. And we have Eneru still in his mission. And we end off with him sort of looking at that hole. Like, what lies below the ground? It's like... I'm
very fascinated by all this like mechanical stuff too. Like we never really got like a close up of it, of just like what technology is this? We have
it's like a
pirates.
Vault.
yeah, it's like a vault. I'm very interested to see what's in here.
Yeah. Huh. But into the chapter itself, we have Usopp like, how are you flying? that you were running scared. Like what's with all the confidence all of a sudden? She's like, I just got a little nervous.
Yeah. I love we're continuing this gag where, Perona's just like, I never thought I'd met someone who'd be immune to my negative ghosts. Let me tell you one thing. Life isn't all that bad. And she's just thumbs up with the other ghosts. It's just this whole gag of trying to cheer Usopp up so that she can beat him is so good.
Yeah. And we finally get an explanation of the Kabuto.
Yes.
So there's 5 pivots for additional stability and distance targeting. With the breath dial he got on Sky Island, he can activate it at the precise moment I take his shot and spin the ammo so it curves any way he wants. This super slingshot is capable of that. And by interchanging the flame, flash, and impact dials, he can make the shots even more powerful. That's
actually
cool.
Awesome. That's sick. Obviously Kabuto is very much like it is an upgrade. I think just by looking at it, you can tell, but like getting this actual breakdown of how it works, and the fact that like Usopp made this, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that is his ingenuity at work. And I just
paying off all the dials he took back too.
Exactly. Yeah. The way that we keep using the dials is just, I love it.
And so he's ready to fight because she might be far away, but he can still hit her. And then she disappears and reappears behind him as a giant, where he's getting, well, thank God Usopp's not a pervert.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, it's leggings. It's fine.
I don't know how far the leggings go, so it's hard to tell with it being black and white. But we'll just be hopeful.
I'm gonna assume the best.
Yes, but he tries to attack her, and just before it hits, she's able to change size back to her normal height, and is able to dodge all of his attacks before reaching into his body itself and like, oh geez.
Yeah. I want to quickly comment, like Perona's ability set's really fun. And just like the way she's able to like fly around and change sizes and just like she is a ghost.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, you idiot, you're not actually hurt. You're not going to die, but my hands are inside you. But you are going to die because I'm going to grab your heart and slowly crush it, which is like, oh my God, that is brutal.
Yep. Yeah, and then you see that close-up of what it looks like she's actually grabbing his heart.
Mm-hmm. And then it turns around and it's like, yeah, I can't actually do that. You were bluffing?
She's just like Usopp. Usopp has met his match. Somebody who can lie just as good as he can.
Yeah. And she's just basically showing off as like, hey, even though I look solid, my body can pass through anything. And she just freaks him out with severed heads. Look, she has a severed head. And basically means you can't touch me. So none of your attacks can actually hurt me. And he's like, well, I can't hurt you, but you can't hurt me either. It's like, so it's all fine. She uses this thing called the mini hollow ghost wrap, which causes explosions.
I'm not sure how that works, but
she has the super ghost kamikaze attack.
Damn it. Yeah, that is what that is.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, she starts landing these things on Usopp and explodes. And he tries to attack back with his Firebird Star. Does nothing. So he's like, yeah, I got to run.
Hey, that's the same attack that blew up the flag.
Yeah, it is. So it's a cool attack. Just a shame it didn't actually work. And she blocks his view, so he runs straight into a pole. So, oh my God.
See, this is a fight that is like both really engaging and hilarious.
Yeah.
This is...
You're using the power sets and the way they interact with each other to a great potential. Like, there might have been potential in Pervert Sanji versus another pervert, but it's a step too far because of, I don't know, the subject matter or something like that.
not to crap on that fight again, even though just to reiterate, it's bad. I hate it. It sucks. But like there is a missed opportunity, I think, with like there could have been a way for Sanji to kind of like tactfully take out a like an invisible man, and we got that right at the end. Or assuming there's probably more of the fight left, so maybe there will be more of that. But like I would have loved to see like how Sanji actually handles fighting somebody who could turn invisible, but like that's not really what that fight is about.
Honestly, if it was more, weirdly enough, if it was Nami taking a shower and Sanji trying to protect and prevent this invisible man from getting in there, having to fight it, having to protect that shower at all times, I think that'd be more interesting. And then you can even still have him being like, well, maybe if I'll pee for myself, and then have Nami, who's awake, poke him in the eyes or something, There's
a way for them to have like a fun 3-character dynamic to like all 3 of these characters all want something different, and they all kind of have to like play around each other to get what they want. Making Nami unconscious during that whole fight, again, creepy for a lot of reasons I shouldn't have to explain, but also just like not, I think, a good representation of her character. And I think like if Nami were conscious, she would want to beat the hell out of Absalom too.
Yeah, absolutely. But we get a Yogi Bear reference where we get where Kumasi shows up after all the ghost raps all over Usopp, and Kumasi just beats the hell out of Usopp, and Kumasi's stronger than the average bear.
Yeah, that's true. And then I kind of forgot that this had happened, but I love this where it's like Usopp is like he's pushed to the edge basically, and he's thinking about like this is my one chance to be helpful to the crew, and you're like, this is obviously informed by what had happened in Water 7.
Yeah.
And it's like this is his one chance, and he's just like what can I do? And he really is like, I could really help, and then you turn the page, and he puts the Sniper King mask back on.
Yeah, just saying, "Help me, Sniper King," and is able to get up from Kumasi's pummeling and force salt down its mouth and purify it. That's amazingly badass.
See, bringing the Sniper King, bringing him back, and also, again, I'm sad that Sniper King is actually Usopp, and I was fooled. And I regret my words and deeds, but seeing the hero of Sniper Island return, but seriously, like, I don't know. There's something I really love about the idea of like this identity kind of being like Usopp's way to be brave.
Yes, this is his confidence coming through, and
yeah,
I like how he like even has the detail of the part that broke off during Enies Lobby has been repaired.
He taped it back on.
It's so he's like, nice to meet you, but it's time to run. It's like, okay, how can I win? I need to think carefully because there's a lot suspicious about that girl, especially because she got so confident because she was running from me in terror at first. So if my attacks couldn't hurt her, she wouldn't have run away in the first place. So something must have happened.
I love seeing this thought process too.
And that's when he realizes her tricks. And he's like, there's a room nearby. He's like, wait, that. And he uses his Atlas Comet to blow open the door and reveal her real body. She's astral projecting.
Yeah, that's a cool twist.
Yeah, That's a good fight. Nice back and forth. Nice reveal with Sniper King. It's peppy. It's good. It's what you want to see.
Yeah, and it plays into Usopp's character development, like in a way that is both hilarious but also like true to his character, which is just that's what I want.
For sure.
Whew. Oh boy.
Yeah.
This was an episode.
Yeah, it was. It's like, here comes the critical hats, that's for sure.
Yeah, ups and downs, that's the life sometimes.
That's Thriller Bark. But hopefully it's not too much longer with Absalom, which might improve it more. We'll see. We'll see if that was the only mark against this arc.
Yeah. Whew, hope so.
Do have SBS real quick where they're like, hey, that lion guy from when they were coming through, is that where Absalom got his face? Like that face, the face that was on the lion when they were first coming through the cemetery, was that?
Oh, that's a good point.
Absalom's old face.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not going to say anything here, but it is in fact a lion's mouth that was surgically removed and stitched onto Absalom's face. But there's no proof that belongs to Absalom. That face belongs to Absalom. He's like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut here for this small group of Absalom fans. Like, I'm afraid that there's Absalom fans. I know.
Hey, if you're, you know what? I'm not going
to. No, yeah,
good. Boo.
Yeah. But we also have Oda being like, hey, weren't you going to ask any questions of the voice actors? And he's like, oh, yeah. Well, here's all the cast, and go ahead and they all have a great sense of humor, so they can handle this. So go ahead and write anything. I'm like, that is some trust in your audience there.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, and I think I brought this up before, but I think the voice actors do get involved in the SBSs. I think that might be coming up soonish. I thought we were further away from that one than I thought, but no, that actually does happen. So
yeah, that's cool.
Fun to get to.
Yeah. By the way, I don't think this is the case, but I just noticed it, is that Keppe Yamaguchi and Yuriku Yamaguchi, Usopp and Ramen's voice actors, obviously have the same last name. Are they related? Are they
probably not?
I'm guessing it's just a common last name.
Yeah, it's a pretty common last name. Yeah.
Okay.
I am gonna Google it just to check because you never know.
Yeah, I have a feeling not. I feel like I'd hear about that more often, but yeah. Oh boy, but yeah, that was a bit of a come down because it's like it teased a lot of really cool things with Chopper, with Zoro, and then didn't really follow up on them. And then instead it would focus, like it seemed like most of the focus went to Sanji instead, which I guess get it out of the way now, but at least we ended strong with Usopp.
Yeah, thank goodness, because I guess that's the thing too, is like the Sanji Absalom stuff was, for one, longer than a chapter, and two, like it was a not insignificant part of the set. So I feel like we had to dwell on it because it was kind of like one of the two major fights we saw a good chunk of.
Yeah. Definitely the case.
Yeah, sorry. I know. I like being positive and excited about One Piece, but I'm not gonna pull my punches either when it does something that I think is not good.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Thankfully, again, like I said, like I think about the shower scene where I was like, that this might be the worst scene in One Piece. I think the Absalom Sanji fight, like that is probably the lowest point for Sanji. So it's all uphill from here, technically, maybe, sorta.
Hopefully.
Although I think most of my least favorite jokes in One Piece moving forward are the Sanji jokes. So, but he has a lot of good stuff too. So,
Yep. I guess we'll see how that all goes. But
yep.
Yeah. Well, with that, I believe we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 461 to 465 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube, or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. Not a whole lot else to add. I've been learning 3D modeling, still watching Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, follow me for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode ad-free 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 466 to 470 of One Piece. So until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
I just naturally have a negative personality!